Charboneau and David Lynn Miller.
Welcome to Dudes on Movies. I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And today we're discussing 1996's The Watermelon Woman, directed by Cheryl Dunye and starring Cheryl Dunye and Guinevere Turner. Dave, why don't you give everyone a synopsis?
Yep, this is Cheryl Dunye's film focusing on an aspiring filmmaker named Cheryl working in a video store searching for inspiration for her first feature. And while watching movies from the 30s and 40s, she discovers an African-American actress who played stereotypical mammy roles in multiple films, and even when this actress was acknowledged in the credits, it was only as the Watermelon Woman. And so this actress, along with the search for her real identity, becomes the subject of Cheryl's documentary. And during her research, Cheryl also learns a lot about herself, and she sees parallels in her own life as a black gay woman. And the main film that we're watching also focuses on Cheryl's relationships and friendships, and like a lot of experimental movies, it has an unusual structure that combines different techniques and narrative devices, so it'll probably make a good episode.
Yeah, I found that to be very interesting, how the film merges like the documentary subject and an actual movie together, and the way they do it is with different, like they used film for the movie portions and then videotape when they're doing the documentary that she's making in the movie.
Yep.
And then there's also, like you mentioned, the old movies with the mammy characters and stuff. Right. They recreate some scenes reminiscent of the old movies from the 1930s, where there's a character doing things.
Right.
And they like made that for the movie. So you get that. And there's also like some newsreel footage mixed in that they created and stuff. So it's a very ambitious thing for an independent filmmaker to tackle, especially as their first film.
I know.
Which is incredibly awesome.
Kind of an audacious debut.
Yeah. And I guess you could say it could come off as pretentious and stuff, but it does not.
Right.
It feels authentic, and it feels it has its heart in the right place, you know. It's trying to send a message and also be entertaining, and it does all of that.
Right. And, I mean, the reason I put it on the schedule, too, was because of, like, this period in American independent film produced unique work. And even if it isn't always polished, or some of the acting isn't as accomplished as other films, I'm always up for these types of movies because they're shot on film, they're different, and they're made with enthusiasm, like you said. I mean, even today, almost 30 years later, this movie feels pretty fresh and new, and it has something to say. And you can feel its independence in a good way, and you can appreciate the work that went into it. I mean, this was a great time for personal filmmaking in American cinema, and I think this is a really good example.
It really is. And it was like, I don't think it was like a huge hit commercially when it came out or anything, but it did make waves in like the Berlin Film Festival and stuff like that.
Right, and it was funded by private donors and also a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. And you mentioned the recreations of the clips and everything of the footage from the old films, and I mean, it was cool because it's an independent movie thing because they didn't have the money to secure real clips from real movies. So instead of focusing on the real life actresses like Hattie McDaniel or Butterfly McQueen, they had to invent this stand-in composite actress who represented those real life figures' struggles and screen careers. And so when the movie cuts that archival footage and photos, they were staged and created by Cheryl Dunye with the help of Zoe Leonard and Ira Jeffries. And it's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it feels like when you watch the film, you might think you're watching real footage.
At first you do. Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the film, they acknowledge, like, hey, we just made up the Watermelon Woman.
Right.
Because sometimes you have to make up your own history, which is kind of why Cheryl Dunye made this film, because she couldn't find anything about these black actresses from back then. They were kind of just pushed away. Like, no one really cared or documented about them, even though they're extremely important to film history and just as people, you know.
Of course.
So... but there was no like due justice for that back then, and so Cheryl's like, you know, we're just going to do this here.
I remember Vito Russo being interviewed about his research process for the Celluloid Closet, and he ran into a similar problem that Cheryl faced when she's doing her thing. I mean, because like even at the Library of Congress at the time, when you went to the card catalog, there was no entry on gay cinema, you know, or black cinema. So you had to hunt for this stuff and then contact other people so they could point you to resources they've used. And in Vito's case, he asked other film critics for lists of movies that had gay characters. And then he would like cross-reference it with stuff he'd seen. If he hadn't seen it, he'd see it. And this movie shows the same process that Cheryl Dunye has to go, that she has to like talk to people.
Yeah. There's a great scene at the library that I love.
Yes.
And you even met the guys like, well, did you check the black section? Did you check the film section? Like, that guy sucks, by the way. I hate that guy.
He's an asshole. He really is.
But that must be what it's like.
Right.
This guy who doesn't want to help you, just getting in your way.
And yeah, he wants this interaction to be over very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, so this movie, everybody, it's an important movie. I'm glad Dave put it on the schedule. I'd never seen it before, and now I'm very glad I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about how it did good at like the Berlin Film Festival, and it's a great like underground indie hit. But it also in 2016, I think the Museum of Modern Arts got a copy of it to keep in their collection,
right?
Which is very awesome. And then in 2021, the U.S. National Film Registry put it in preservation for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, which is amazing.
Man, it got into the Library of Congress, and it's going to be preserved forever. That's so good.
So sweet. And then I watched this on a Blu-ray that Criterion put out in 2023, so it is getting due justice. It was restored by Criterion.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And, I mean, you don't have to get the disc. It's on Canopy, which is free.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got a library card, you can watch it.
Yes, everybody, we're always talking about Night Flight as a great streaming service, and it is, but the best deal in streaming is Canopy, of course. 100% free. Just get a library card and you're there.
It's awesome. All right, so you want to get into this movie.
Yes.
We've talked a lot about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
So the movie, it opens up on a wedding, but we're seeing through video footage. And this is Cheryl and her friend Tamara, played by Valerie Walker. They're like doing videography for a wedding. I guess it's their side hustle. They work at the video rental store. Cheryl's trying to be a filmmaker, so she's doing this as like to get experience and all that stuff, and to make money.
Yep.
So they end up getting paid for that work, and they're talking about like Cheryl is kind of she doesn't want to date anyone. She's very focused on her career and getting like a movie going. Tamara's not, but she's there to help her, right?
Right.
And there's a great shot when they're done. They're like driving through the city, and it's all video footage of Philadelphia because that's where the film takes place. And they're just talking. It's very indie, Dave. Like it's like a montage of the city, and they're talking about urban poverty, and it's raw and it's real and all this stuff. But then we get a talking head, which is making it feel like documentary now, of Cheryl setting up her own camera and talking to it. And she came up with the idea you mentioned to look into the history of this Mammy character, the Watermelon Woman, from a movie called Plantation Memories. And we show the footage, and it's just Elsie is the character's name of Watermelon Woman plays, and she's like comforting, the white woman, which was unfortunately what you had to do back then.
Yes, the white woman was agonizing over some plantation business or love affair or something.
Oh yeah, man, it must be great.
I mean, it's just like, and this is Gone with the Wind.
It is.
It's like that is
Yeah.
most of that movie, and there's no one ever says this is wrong. Quite the opposite,
Not
actually.
at all. Not at all. And you could give Hattie McDaniel an Oscar if you want. It's not going to fix it.
It didn't fix it. No, because like that was wrong.
That is like a tragic story, because when that happened, she thought this is the floodgates opening now.
Right.
It's the doors open for other people. Not happening again for another 30 years.
And
Yeah.
if you want to hear more about like that story too, listen to You Must Remember This. Corinna Longworth covered it, and even like at the ceremony, what Hattie McDaniel had to face. There was prejudice in the room, against her and where she could sit and everything. It was terrible. We'll just say at the beginning here, Lisa Marie Bronson is the actress who plays the identity of the Watermelon Woman. Is someone she's named Faye Richards.
Yeah.
And when Cheryl, we cut to her all the time because in between all the stuff with Cheryl and Tamara and the other characters, whenever we cut to the archival footage, it's also stills too.
Yeah.
And like Lisa Marie Bronson has a major role in this movie, even though we only see her in like playing Faye Richards in a documentary format like she really existed.
Yeah. And then the still images you mentioned, we see photographs. They were all created using the actresses.
Impressively staged.
Yeah. They look authentic. They look like, period photographs.
Right.
That were actually printed back then. And there's a funny moment when Cheryl's interviewing her mom in a little bit about the Watermelon Woman. Turns out she knew the actress, kind of. And she calls one of the clubs, like, weird. She says there was a bunch of weirdos there. You would have liked it. And it's like, come on, lady. You don't have to say that.
Yeah, it's where she's very accepting of her daughter, but she still has to, like,
call
get
it
that
weirdos.
stuff in. Yeah.
It's so weird. But, yeah, so now we catch up with Cheryl and Tamara at their video store where they work. And we see them here a bunch of times throughout the movie, and it's some of my favorite stuff. Not only because, like, their interactions are funny and engaging, but, like, there's side characters there.
I know.
And then it's just a video store, man.
Watching this movie, all the other stuff is great, but it reminds me of how much I want video stores back.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that these boutique outlets still exist in big cities, but I want them on every corner again. This needs to be, like, something that we do, an activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Canopy's great, but holy shit, it would be so nice to go into a place with, like, red shag carpet and that smells like candy corn and hot tamales.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And so they're at the video store, right? And Tamara invites Cheryl to go out with her and her girlfriend Stacy on a double date, like a blind date.
Right.
Like, hey, there's this girl Yvette who wants to meet you, and she's really cute, and you got to get out there. You need to start dating people.
I understand when people, like, hear about a blind date and they're like, oh, because it could end in a disaster. And 8 times out of 10 it usually does. But, like, it's always funny in a movie whenever, like, the best friend does this. Like, the reaction is always that, like, not again.
Yeah.
And, it's either, like, it goes great or what happens in this movie.
Yeah. I want to see a movie where it's just like a sequence of blind dates. So we see someone's life through this journey of blind dating. That would be interesting.
Right.
But anyway, now we cut to the club that they're at, and it's a karaoke bar, and you have V.S. Brody singing up there, just wailing away. It's so good.
I know. She's belting out Boogie Oogie Oogie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a karaoke performance.
Yes, it is. And she's very into it, which I love.
Yes.
Yeah, and no shame with this.
I love when someone is singing badly and they're still dancing, like, really hard.
Yes, and this isn't as bad as what we're about to get,
no.
but this, I'd rather watch this, This is, I think they understand they're not that great. They're just going to feel it and go with it,
Yeah.
They just know. And it's passable. Like, you could still sit here and enjoy yourself while this is happening. When Yvette gets up and sings, you got to just leave.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Because when V.S. Brody is performing, like, they scan the audience. You can see everybody's having a nice time.
Yeah.
They're amused by her performance.
This is what you want at karaoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's either people who take it way too seriously and they think this is their big chance, like me.
Yeah, right.
Or they do this, and they're having a nice time.
You're hoping to make a break?
It's just like, I've, like, really concentrated on giving a great performance every time I've sang karaoke,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah.
I did, but, like, there's not a talent
No
scout
one
in the
cares.
audience.
No.
Yes.
Did you put the pink Scarlett Johansson wig on?
I didn't.
That
I did
coulda
not
helped.
don the wig, and I should have. I mean, yeah, that would have helped a lot.
Yeah. So they're at the table. The 4 women are at a table, and they're just having small talk as V.S. Brody's singing, right? And so they start telling some story about the Spike Lee incident, where, like, I guess Yvette knew Spike Lee was coming somewhere, and she tried to sing to him, and it was horrible. Something like that. I don't know. They're kind of just, like, yapping away. And
Yeah.
It's entertaining, right? And so she's like, no, I'm going up to sing. So she goes up, and she starts singing Lovin' You by Minnie Riperton. And it's a horrible rendition where she's singing in this, like, stressed falsetto that doesn't sound natural. She's off key. She's not hitting the correct notes. But she's, like, moving her body like she's, like, entrancing the audience with this performance.
Yeah, she believes that what she's doing is really accomplished.
It's as good as the original.
Right. And she's seductively looking over at various patrons.
Yeah, and like looking over at Cheryl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, oh,
And like singing to her.
this
and,
isn't working.
Man, and when she goes for that note at the end of the chorus, oh God, oh man. And like it's way worse than what you just did. I mean, she tries to get there, and it's like she has a 2-octave range, and she goes for number 8.
Yes. She's not Mariah Carey.
No, she does not have it.
No. And so the date ends poor. Like, that's the end of the scene. Like, we know this is over.
Because, I mean, even before this bad singing, like, Cheryl, you can tell she didn't really like Yvette to begin with. And
yeah.
She's also, I think, even like Tamara's girlfriend Stacy is getting on her nerves. And Cheryl is... She's not miserable, and she's having a nice time, but like in general, she's not the happiest person, in her day-to-day life.
Yeah, no, she's kind of lost and
right,
struggling for something more
because she can't find inspiration for her film project. I mean, even though she's got this thing going now, I mean, like we skipped ahead to where she got the inspiration. I mean, she gets that a little later in the movie, but. At the time here, she's like, still struggling. She's doesn't know what to do. And now she's in this bar with this lady who can't sing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Bad dates are horrible, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever see The Nutty Professor with Eddie Murphy?
Yes.
That one. There's a scene where Dave Chappelle sings this song, but Eddie Murphy is like breaking his wrist while he's doing it for some reason. And he's hitting on all the high notes. It's ridiculous.
So I think it's yes. And is it retribution for an earlier thing?
It might be because he made fun of him or something when he was fat.
Yes, when he was fat.
The
Sherman
big
was
clump
fat.
or whatever his name was.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And Dave Chappelle was on stage, like singling him out, doing crowd work. And then when he comes back and he's Slim Eddie Murphy, he roughs him up.
Yeah,
and
they stole that from this movie.
Holy shit!
They had to have.
I mean. That's not an homage. That's just theft.
No, I feel like they totally stole this.
Right.
They had to have. Someone saw The Watermelon Woman, and was like, I'm putting that in a big budget movie, and no one's going to stop me.
Fuck this.
But yeah, then we get, like, the whole movie's kind of interspersed with, like, random, like, street interviews or, like, interviews of other people on the video footage, and also, like, shots of, like, Cheryl holding up still photographs to the camera and things like that. And, like, we get a cool sequence of this where, like, she's on the street interviewing people. Like, do you know the Watermelon Woman? Like, most people have no clue what she's talking about. Some people, that sounds familiar, There's a couple dudes here that are really funny because they're like, was that Rosie Perez? Like, did she do that character? And they're just, like, making fun of each other. Like, no, dude, it ain't Rosie Perez. And then there's a title card that pops up that says "Sorry, Rosie."
Yes.
Which I thought was brilliant.
I mean, just to include that in the movie and then to say, well, let's acknowledge this. Let's put it in here. Yeah, sorry, Rosie.
Yeah, and I love how the film is, like, chaotic like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's structured and sound, but it has things like that just pop up, which makes it experimental.
Right, and that's the great thing about experimental / independent movies. If you don't have someone from a studio breathing down your neck the whole time, you can do stuff like this. You're allowed to just do something because it's a creative decision I made.
Yeah, and it pays off.
Right.
I think it was excellent here. And the whole movie feels unique for that reason.
Yep.
And so I think at this moment she interviews her mom because her mom says something to her about, oh, yeah, I knew who she was, but I don't know her now. I thought I knew her. And so she gives her the videotape of, like, Plantation Memories or whatever the movie was called.
Yep.
And then she recognizes, like, oh, I did see her. She was at the clubs. And, like, I think this gives her, like, a breadcrumb, Cheryl, to go down. Like, I think one of her mom's friends or something knows maybe more information or something like that.
Yeah, she knew a connection. She figured out a connection just because she figured her mom might have remembered this movie. And she didn't probably expect that her mom would know someone who knew the lady.
Yeah.
But at least it was like, have you heard of this person?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know the Watermelon Woman, but I know that lady.
Yep.
I know her.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, the game is on. This
Right.
documentary's getting somewhere now.
And, like, it turns out that she has this history even just within Philadelphia. She sang in clubs around the town. And yeah, it starts her down this path. And I understand that, like, So you're watching this in 2025, and you realize that like the internet would make it easier to do this kind of research. Probably.
Yeah, it would.
And I think and that's a good thing. But I like this better because obviously everybody knew I was going to say that. Yeah, Dave, of course, likes this better. Yeah, but I just also, apart from technology stuff, I like it because it's engaging people face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, a Zoom call is fine for unimportant shit like reviewing spreadsheets at work. But when you're doing what you really are invested in, talking to
Agreed.
people is always preferable.
Agreed. Face-to-face is better. On the phone, if you have to. Emails, no thanks.
No way.
The email is how you get to the face-to-face.
That's how you set the meeting.
That's how you get there. That's the horse you rode to the town.
Yes, that's right.
So we cut back to the video store, and this is where we meet Diana, played by Guinevere Turner. She's there picking out videos, and Cheryl starts giving her some suggestions.
Yes, Cheryl walks over, and I don't know if Cheryl like did this on purpose. If she spied Guinevere Turner and was like, "Oh my God,"
I would.
I mean, of course you would, because she stands out. She's gorgeous, and she's like standing there looking at tapes, and Cheryl walks over to stock the shelf at that very moment, and turns out, Guinevere asked her some questions. Diana, asked her some questions, and Cheryl's got a lot of thoughts about film, and she's got a lot of recommendations.
Yeah, it's awesome too.
Yep.
She gives her a wide berth of recommendations, all different genres and stuff.
Yeah, she really takes her time and like gives some great insight about everything.
Yep. I forget, what does she ultimately get, like Repulsion or something?
Yeah, well,
I forget what movie she picks up.
It's one of Cheryl's last recommendations. Like, there's also, like Repulsion with Catherine Deneuve, and like Diana's just I think that Diana probably isn't so interested in what tapes are going to be recommended. I think she just likes Cheryl.
I think so too.
Right.
I think she picks up on this, and Cheryl gets a little weird, like not weird, but a little awkward around Diana.
Yeah.
Like you naturally do when you're around someone you think is attractive and you maybe want to ask them out or something. Even though they're in the setting of I'm just here helping you as an employee. Yeah. It's kind of obvious. That's not the only thing going on here.
No, because Cheryl is usually pretty put together and confident in the other aspects of her life. But here, she's tripping over herself a bit.
Right, yeah. And so, like, she goes back to the counter, and Tamara starts teasing her for, like, how she's flirting with this hot white girl or something like that.
Right.
And then Bob comes out. Bob is the owner of this store. He's their boss. And he starts making fun of, not making fun, but, like, talking down to Cheryl and Tamara, how they're not working again, stuff like that. Yeah,
when you see him emerge from the back office, he walks over and you can tell, oh my God, here he comes. He's going to, say, he's going to tap his watch and say, hey, let's get to work, ladies. And sure enough, that's what he does, because he's a jackass.
Yep. And then he also introduces them to a new employee, this younger woman named Annie.
Yep.
And it's a white woman. She's dressed kind of like goth, like dyed hair and stuff. And so she doesn't fit in with the rest of the people in the store.
Right.
Like the movie is primarily like a black cast.
Yes.
There's just a handful of white actors in it. And so she's out of place. And they kind of treat her that way. At least Tamara does.
Yeah, Tamara definitely
Tamara
does.
really doesn't like her for some reason. Cheryl is totally fine with her. Because Cheryl is cool.
Right.
Cheryl is a good person.
She is. And, like, Tamara just doesn't like her because of, like, she doesn't like the fashion. She doesn't like...
The dog collar.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. Yeah, she doesn't care for it at all. And she's kind of uncool about it.
I hate Tamara for that reason. Like she's funny. Like, she's not, like, a terrible person. No. But she just, for no reason, doesn't like Annie. At all. I don't know.
She's a problem friend. As we find out later.
Yes.
I mean, she's like someone who she's supposed to be like Cheryl's, ride or die.
Yeah.
And she is, but she's also just kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. She doesn't have she tries to tell Cheryl like good advice and stuff, but it's not really good advice most of the time.
Yeah. It's just really bad most of the time.
It ain't good.
Right.
And so Diana comes to check out the tapes at the counter, and Cheryl has to train Annie on how to do it. And it's funny because Annie's like, I've worked at videos, I know what to do. But just gets awkward because Diana's up there. She took the recommendation. Cheryl's trying to be helpful. Oh, you need a bag with that and stuff? Like, no, I don't need a bag. Like,
Man.
yeah, just trying to like get any kind of like in that you can.
Which
Any
is
more time with this?
I mean, because like when you've just met somebody, you've known them for 2 minutes, you can't ask them out. I mean, you shouldn't ask them out. So you have to do this.
Yeah.
You have to like
You
know,
can ask them out. I mean, she's not gonna. Well, I guess she knows that she's gonna see this woman again probably because she's gonna come return the tape. She might rent again. So yeah, I guess video store's a good place.
well, another reason to have them back.
That's a good place.
Yes. And I what I mean though about like the there's no rules of course about these kind of things, but I just found it like I never liked when someone would just meet like, oh, I see that girl over there, she's pretty hot, I'm gonna go over and ask her out. Dude, why don't you just talk, have a drink with her for 30 minutes and then, you know, like say, hey, would you like to get together sometime?
Yeah, but you don't always have time for that. So
I guess not.
So you got to take your chance when you can.
Yeah.
Not saying I do that.
I see.
But
Yeah.
it happens. Anyway, she leaves, and everyone comments about how much like chemistry there was there.
Yes. Because the whole store notices it.
Yeah, and I think Cheryl shows more interest than Diana does.
Really?
But Diana shows a little bit, but like Cheryl, it's all over her face.
Yeah,
Anyone
Cheryl.
can tell.
That's true, and Cheryl like is clearly like flummoxed and doesn't know what to do. But like I think I guess the reason I was surprised at your assessment of it is I guess like I think that Diana has as much interest, but she's just cooler.
She's playing it cooler. Yeah,
Yeah.
like she's not stumbling over her words or anything.
Right.
Yeah, she's being like just the tiniest bit flirty.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's Guinevere Turner being awesome.
I mean, of
so,
course,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, she's a great performer. So
yes, she's awesome.
But yeah, that's the introduction to the love interest, Diana. Yeah. There's a weird interlude. I think it's here or some other point where it just shows like Cheryl and Tamara dancing on a rooftop. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I
There's
do.
like some underground like indie hip hop playing or something.
and it's more video footage.
It's just video footage, like kind of cocked to the side a little, like a music video. And it's just them like kind of dancing and high-fiving and stuff. There's no real reason for it to be here or exist, but they just throw it into the movie.
I know, and it's another just cool independent film thing that like, well, we have this B-roll of Cheryl and Tamara doing this.
Yeah.
Let's put it in here.
I read that Cheryl Dunye also edited the film.
Yes.
So, I mean, this was her baby.
Yeah, she was in charge of the whole
Directed,
thing.
wrote it, acted. Yeah,
Right.
everything, man. Nice work.
It's like Coven.
Yeah, it's COVID. Dude, did I tell you I bought American Movie on 4K and it comes with Coven?
Dude, that
I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure it's a masterpiece. American Movie, though, is a masterpiece.
Full on.
Listen to our episode on that, everybody. But at this point, I think Tamara's mother has a lead on the Watermelon Woman. So she tells Cheryl about this guy named Lee Edwards. He has like race film history. I guess it's a business. He has a business card, but I don't know what the business is, or if he's just like a personal historian, something like that.
Yeah, he's almost like a local eccentric.
Yeah,
And it reminded me a lot of one of the last scenes in Zodiac.
that's what I was thinking.
You were? It's like going to Charles Fleischer house.
Yeah,
This guy feels very much like that.
that's awesome, man. Jake Gyllenhaal better get out of there, man. But Cheryl never felt threatened here, I don't think.
It's not a scary situation, but like this guy's got a bunch of old movie posters and he knows a lot about, the old movie palaces, and it, for twisted, poisoned minds like ours, it feels like Zodiac.
Yes, and it's also extremely fascinating.
Quite so, yes.
And I wish I could be this guy. I wish I could have this museum where people can come and see and learn. It'd be amazing.
And just, to be able to like have people over and you're just walking through the house talking about stuff.
See, what would be a problem though is that like you just have your regular friends over. They're like, dude, Lee, shut the fuck up. Can we watch the game?
Again, Lee?
Yes, Lee, again. The Royal and Dunbar theaters were black owned and operated. Yes, we know, you told us already.
I've known you for 6 years.
And so Tamara's mom is holding the camera while they're in the scene, which I find hilarious. Because, like, we don't see her, but Cheryl mentions it in the voiceover or something. And you can hear Tamara's mom saying things to Cheryl, like, ask him about the watermelon woman. It's so funny, and it's just a weird choice. And once again, just pointing out the amazing independent spirit of this movie.
Oh, of course, yes.
But yeah, so she learns a lot more about the history of these films in this era and in Philly itself and all the people involved. So it's a real good like learning experience for her.
Yeah, and it's another example too of just like when you're doing a project of this kind, you know, you come across sources that you hadn't expected, and they end up being like really valuable to your research. And you know, it is funny, like, you know, your friends like, ask him about this. It's like, well, I will, if you just give me a minute.
Right.
But
yeah.
also, like, I want to hear what he has to say because I just met him, so he's probably gonna like give me a bunch of other stuff too.
Exactly. And didn't I don't know if it was Tamara's mom or Cheryl's mom. Someone said something about this Lee Edwards guy and how he kind of sucks. Like they don't like him.
It was I think it was either Tamara or Tamara's mom, like saying that there was some kind of animosity between them.
Yeah.
And he's definitely coded as gay, and that was like, I don't think Tamara's mom, you know, really cottons to that. And yeah, so that was part of it as well.
Yeah. But it's a good scene, and we do see like shots of the theaters he mentions, and they're all boarded up now and stuff.
Right.
And I imagine those are the real theaters that Cheryl Dunye went and shot.
Probably so,
in
yes.
Philadelphia. So now we get a scene at a produce truck. And this might be a scene that doesn't need to be here if you ask me.
Okay.
But Cheryl's there to get some produce out of this truck, and there's a long line, huge line. And she notices Diana's up in the front of the line getting some produce. So she goes up and like says hey to her. Like, oh, hey, hi, Cheryl from the video store. Hey, good to see you. And then this other woman comes up and it's like, Diana, we got to go. We got things to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay. Bye, Cheryl. See you later. And that's kind of the whole scene.
Yeah, and it even, like, this and several other scenes, the fade is abrupt. And
yes,
not super polished.
There's weird fades. There's like irises in and out of things.
Right.
And yes, it's like Windows Movie Maker 95 or something.
Exactly.
Which, if that's what you got, Cheryl, and you put this out of that, amazing.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's just that, like you said, the scene is extraneous, and there's when Cheryl and Diana say "see you later," it just the fade comes in, bam, and it's just like,
next
we're in
scene,
the next
please.
scene.
We're in the library now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally not needed here. I know the purpose of the scene is to show that Diana is with another woman.
Yeah.
There's competition here for Cheryl, and it creates some kind of conflict for the character, right?
Right.
But you could have done this in the video store scene.
Yeah.
Like the other woman could have been like waiting outside, and we saw like when they leave, she sees out the window, she like kisses her or grabs her hand or something. Like,
right.
You could have made it more natural. This was just a totally superfluous scene.
Right. And I hadn't considered it until just now, but yeah, like the way, especially too, the way Cheryl has to like jump the line to even get up there, because I think like Diana is like 10 spaces ahead of her.
She's way up there.
Yes. And she's also like making it rough on the people behind her, because like they're waiting, and Diana is like, you know, one of those people who goes to the front of the line, and I guess they think they're the only person on earth.
Yeah.
So they just start like, you know, having this conversation with the worker, you know, like instead of like saying, okay, I'll have this, this, and this. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Which I guess could be, I mean, that's kind of her character a little bit, right? Like
she's
out of place in this movie.
Right.
We learn that she just got into town from Chicago, and she was going to school, didn't want to go to school, came back. Now she's like volunteering. She's staying at this amazing loft in, I'm assuming, downtown Philly in a great area, and just like doing whatever she feels like, no problems.
Yeah, she's definitely portrayed as a privileged white woman.
She definitely is.
Right.
Most certainly is.
Yes.
And that becomes a topic of discussion later with all the friends and stuff.
Right.
And now we can go to the library, which is one of my favorite scenes.
Yes.
They are doing research. It's Cheryl and I guess it's Tamara. They're both there.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find all this information. I think Tamara has to be somewhere, so she keeps pressuring Cheryl, like, I gotta be somewhere with Stacy. I gotta get some nookie. Like, she keeps talking about how she needs to get laid. Yes. The whole movie, she keeps saying that. I guess she's been with Stacy for like 4 years, but they're not having sex anymore or something.
Right.
So she's like very concerned with like making something romantic happen so she can get laid.
Yeah, and Cheryl's holding that up, with all this research crap.
Come on.
Like, when she goes in, I like how Cheryl is there in the between the shelves. She's got a stack of books, and then she's just looking at one, and then in between the stacks, you see Tamara's face emerge. And she's like, and Cheryl's like, Tamara, what are you doing here? That kind of thing. And like, I don't know if they came to the library together or if Tamara hunted her down and is like, hey, come on, you got to help me go and get laid with Stacy.
I'm not sure. I thought they came together because it felt like they were together because of Tamara's urgency. Like,
yeah.
If she came separately, she could just leave.
I mean, I hope so, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So maybe she just showed up separately and saw her friend and then was just hanging with her. Like, hey, I want to hang out with you, but we got to go if we're going to do this. And this is the scene where the librarian is giving them shit about, did you check this section, that section? And they just keep rolling their eyes at him like, Jesus Christ, yeah, we did. Yeah, but he does give them some information.
He does, but he asks them like 6 patronizing questions before he actually gives them what they need.
Yes, he does. And ultimately, he's like cross-referencing the names, what is it, Faye Richards?
Yeah.
And Martha Page. Martha Page was the director of the film Prairie whatever.
Plantation Memories.
Plantation Memories. And so they're cross-referencing that. And there is a book about Martha Page. And she tells her, oh, go get it. It's in the non-reference section, so that's why I didn't find it.
Right.
That's what you're looking for. Go get that book.
Yes, and that is a good clue because, Cheryl finds out a lot about, like the relationship specifically between Martha Page and Faye Richards. And when they show the archival photos and footage, we see some really cool... I remember there's a movie from 1930 with Marlene Dietrich called Morocco, where she does this nightclub act, and she's dressed in a tuxedo and a top hat, and she walks over to this woman, and she has a flower on the table, and she goes, may I have this? And the woman's like, of course. And then Marlena just kisses her on the lips. And the audience is like, ho! And even people at her table are like, oh, wonderful, Isn't this a wonderful act? And like Gary Cooper is really entranced by this. And they end up having a romance, the two of them. But for a different audience, they don't care about Gary Cooper in that moment. It's just like, what's going on with this? Yeah. I remember hearing Susie Bright talk about this on the Celluloid Closet DVD. And it's just like when they show these photos, Martha Page looks a lot like that same kind of motif that Marlene Dietrich had in that movie, where it's like she's dressed like James Whale, essentially.
They're dressed period appropriate,
yes.
But like it doesn't look like what you think of a 1930s club would be, which is that underground lesbian bar that they go to, you know, the secret place that nobody can know about.
That was way ahead of its time, and if someone from today was to go there, was to have the time machine, that they would be like, oh my gosh, this place is like, this was 100 years ago, and it feels like so modern already.
Yep. And I do love the look Martha Page has too. Like she's very tall.
Yeah.
And she's wearing like that tuxedo. If you were publicly out like that, it was very dangerous and very hard for you.
Yes, there was a scant few people who were publicly out. And the ones who were had a lot of clout and influence. They were famous people.
Yeah.
And even they, faced prejudice. If you weren't rich and powerful, you probably couldn't get away with it.
No. And so we get to see another interview here with I think it's Cheryl's mom's friend, the one she kind of hinted at the beginning of the film.
Shirley Hamilton?
Shirley Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah. It's an interview with her. And this is where we find out, it's the watermelon woman. Her name was Faye Richards. And she used to sing at this club in Philadelphia, and we'd all flock there to see her because she was just mesmerizing. We'd fight for the front row right in front of the stage so that she can just sing to us and look at us. And she was so beautiful, and it was like poetry, all this amazing stuff. They all wanted to see her because she was that great.
This is one of my favorite parts of the movie is Shirley's interview.
Mm-hmm.
The actress playing Shirley is Ira Jeffries, and she helped create those archival photos.
Okay.
And it's just like this feels not like a dramatic part of the movie. This feels like an actual documentary.
Yes.
And like it's weird because it's not. It is pretend. It is like an actress playing another person. But like this is just like I want more of this. I would love to see like a 90-minute thing of just, Shirley talking about the old days.
Yeah, and because it feels so natural. It feels exactly like interviewing someone without a script, like telling you what they know. And she ends up revealing like Faye used to hang out with Martha Page at the club all the time because Faye wanted to get into the movies. And Martha Page could do that. They were a big director then, apparently.
Right.
And so that's how they got together. But there was some kind of, I guess the rumors were that Martha Page was not the best person. The kind of cutthroat person who would throw you to the side if it bettered their career,
right. That
kind of stuff. And there's some great footage of Shirley like getting out the old photos she has here, and she's like got a box of them, and she's going through these photos, but she's also got a cigarette in her hand.
Yes.
While she's just like grabbing this stuff. It's awesome. I'm like, dude, she's gonna like just burn all these things down. I don't know how old these photos are. Are they made of like nitrate or something?
Oh,
like
you're not kidding, dude. Yes. A veteran smoker can do those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, it's a pro move.
It is. Yes.
It made it even feel more natural.
Yeah.
So, because I've seen people doing that. The pro smokers
yes.
that have been in my life, it doesn't matter. They could be swimming and their cigarette would still be good.
The artistry on display. I know.
I know, right? So now it's revealed. Like, this is kind of the big reveal that, like, Faye was in a romantic relationship with Martha.
Yes. And, like, when Cheryl first set out to do this, she was just looking to know about Faye's film career and whether or not she, could have done other stuff and to bring out her real identity. She had no idea going in that she was going to uncover that she was a lesbian on top of it.
It's awesome. I think now's a good time to take a break. So why don't we do that, and then we'll come back and see what's going on.
Right.
Social media. It's all the rage these days. And if you take part in this racket, head over to Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, or TikTok and search for Dudes on Movies. Why, you might ask? Because we post supplemental material regarding the movies we're discussing. Photos from the films, behind-the-scenes articles, question of the week videos, and more. So if you want to be a part of the action, get over there and follow us now before this social media fad goes away. All right, Dave, we're back from the break, and we're at the video store again.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we want to be.
Nonstop.
And so when we're here, Bob confronts Tamara and Cheryl about an order they placed for some videos. Because apparently what they would do, if they want to get some special videos in, they'll order them under some member's name so that they come in and then they can watch the movies and do whatever, right? So, like, in this case, they used Diana's name, and they ordered a bunch of stuff, and one of them was not available, and Bob informs us that Big Black Productions' Bald Black Ball Busters is not available. Which is the funniest name for a movie. And Tamara says she ordered it because she was curious what they looked like without hair. That's her explanation. It's probably the funniest thing in the movie to me. Like, I just thought it was hilarious. And Bob is like half okay with it, which I find funny too.
I know, because you're thinking, okay, they're going to be fired on the spot.
Yeah.
No, he just says, hey, listen, don't do that again. Don't order this like exotic porn on customer accounts.
Yeah, but he thinks that Diana actually wanted it because he reveals to her that it didn't come in.
That's right.
That's what happens.
Because, that's right. Because Diane comes up to rent her videos, and Diana figures it out, and she's looks because behind Bob are Tamara and Cheryl, and they're like signaling to Diana, "Hey, like this is our fault, and play along."
Yeah.
And Diana performs admirably, and she, like they don't get fired over it.
Yeah, I think when he reveals the movie to her, he doesn't even say it. He like has it written down. He's like, that one," and she reads it, and then she goes, "Oh, well, what a shame."
Yes.
Like it's not available. She does a good job.
She does.
Yeah. And then Bob asks her like if she needs a bag and all that stuff, and Cheryl says that she needs a hand like carrying it out or something. And Tamara, I don't know if she makes up like a fake phone call for Bob, but says like his girlfriend called and he has to go talk to her. So he leaves, and then he tells Cheryl, "Hey, take care of this woman, she needs help." And so now they're together finally, for a moment.
Right, for a moment, because Cheryl walks over and explains to Diana what happened, the whole thing you just laid out, the whole scheme to get videos, and Diana's cool with it, but like she asks her, like, "Hey, why don't you come over to my place?" And she does this fun game of like, well, hey, I'm not going to give you my information. You already got all the stuff. You figure it out.
Yeah, you can look it up.
And
then she leaves with the tapes. Yep, and the game is on now. Like,
right.
there is no clearer signal.
Yes.
So and Tamara and Annie are sitting at the counter like stunned that this just happened. And it's hilarious because Annie in the prior scene said that she needs a name tag for some reason to pick up chicks. I don't know her logic on this, but she's like, "Man, now I really need that name tag."
Yeah.
Because of what just happened.
Because she saw Cheryl has her name tag on when Diana first came into the store, and like Annie immediately clocked it like, I saw you. That woman was picking you up.
Yeah.
And so I need a name tag to be, I guess, pick upable.
I like Annie as this side character. She's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then we cut right from this. We're at the loft. We're at Diana's place. They're drinking wine already.
Dude, and it is quite a nice house.
This is great,
yes.
man. And this is like where Tom Hanks lived in Big.
Dude, it is a Josh Baskin apartment.
It's awesome.
Right.
And so like they're drinking wine. They're talking about Diana's backstory, which we already covered. And she tells, Cheryl, "Hey, stay for dinner." And then we see them like watching these like old movies that Cheryl is researching.
Yeah.
And so they talk about that, and the whole time Diana wants to get freaky, and she's not hiding it at all.
We're seeing them from behind the TV set, and Cheryl is sitting there stiff as a board, kind of explaining like what's on the screen and talking in academic terms about 1930s cinema. And meanwhile, Diana is lounging on the couch and looking at her with her wine sort of sexily raised and swishing it around.
Catherine Deneuve style.
It is very much so. And like she's not hearing any of this because she wants to just get down with Cheryl.
Yeah.
And she like makes a move. She goes, "Hey, you got a cigarette?" Because Cheryl asks if it's okay if she smokes. Yes, it is. "Well, you got one of those for me?" "Yes, I do." And then she goes, "Is the fire in there too?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" And then she like Diana reaches across and like just gets the lighter out of Cheryl's like shirt pocket, and she cops a feel while she's there.
Yeah.
And they light the cigarettes and then they start making out.
Man, it is a sexy move. Like
it is.
Like when she reaches over and takes that lighter out of her breast pocket, I was like, "You did not."
Yeah.
Oh, you just sent up the flares.
It's
like
pretty
it's
bold.
on. Yeah.
Right.
And they start making out, and then we get the sex scene. I've never seen so much tongue in kisses in a film.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're not even like touching lips almost. It's like a comedic tongue touching in ways, but it's not funny. Like the scene is very sexy.
Well, yeah.
Like I'm making fun of the amount of tongue, but it's not like it's detracting from the scene.
No, you're not expecting it to be quite so tongue intensive, but you're right. There is a lot of that going on.
Yeah, but we do get a tasteful sex scene of them, and they're really into each other. Yeah.
I like also how it's not quite so tasteful sometimes.
I was gonna say like tasteful might not have been the best word.
Right. It's just that like you're watching like two women. It's not from a male gaze.
Right. Yeah. That's like an important part about it, right?
Right.
Like another. We've all seen other movies with lesbian love scenes, and they're not designed for anyone except the guys watching it.
Right.
Yeah. How did I call all this tongue tasteful, Dave? Like I don't know what I'm talking about. But this scene, made a ruckus when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Because we already mentioned the National Endowment for the Arts had like helped fund the movie. But someone complained about this scene. Some like Republican complained about it, and now the National Endowment for the Arts doesn't fund arts groups anymore. They'll only fund individual projects that they approve of.
The National Endowment for the Arts is a vital institution in America.
Love it.
And there are going to be times when the grants go to art projects that are either lacking in artistic merit, like the Piss Christ.
Yes.
I don't think the Piss Christ is a very good painting, but it does have its place in. I mean,
yes.
If I don't like it, I can just walk by and not look at it. The Watermelon Woman, Cheryl Dunye's film, is artistic, and that we saw, God forbid, two women having pleasure that didn't involve a man. The idea, whoever it was that complained about this, whatever politician it was, how does this affect you?
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
I can't take it.
And then I read, I wish I got the person's name. The librarian would be very mad at me.
Yeah, damn right.
But yeah, they came out later with a statement saying like, "Oh, I don't care about, it's okay that there's like lesbian love. It's fine. I just don't like the graphic sex acts."
Oh, okay. So
yeah, okay.
So it's okay for people to exist, but they can't actually give one another pleasure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, why not fund any other movie that has sex in it?
If the NEA grant went to Michael Bay and he made Pain and Gain, is that a moral outrage? I mean, it's violent.
Just the thought of that is hilarious. I would love to see that. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, they funded American Pie 3 or something.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, it's really shitty that happened.
Yes.
They changed their ways because of that.
I mean, and it definitely doesn't surprise me, and I hate being that person who's not surprised by anything. It makes me look really cynical, but we know that this kind of stuff is coming. You can predict it.
Yeah. And then we get another interview for the documentary on the video footage here with a woman named Camille Paglia.
Camille Paglia.
She's an author, a critic, feminist, also lesbian herself. And they're interviewing her. Well, Cheryl's interviewing her about the mammy figures in film. And she gives us some information that is a little... it feels... not what you expect her to say. I don't know how you reacted to this.
Are you familiar with Camille Paglia outside of this film?
Not too much, no.
Okay. Well, she is a polarizing figure.
Okay.
She's a professor and cultural critic and an author. And like you said, she's a famous feminist. But my first exposure to her was her very informative and entertaining commentary track on the Basic Instinct DVD. And then later I read some of her other stuff. And even though she is a feminist, she's highly critical of other feminists. And throughout her career, she has said some indefensible things.
I believe it.
She was like in favor of NAMBLA at one point.
Wow.
And she justified it by like talking about the Athenians, and how like there was institutional pederasty, and hey, it was okay for 13-year-olds to have sex with their elders back then, and that was the cradle of civilization. It's like,
because you live till you're 26.
I mean, of course, it's a different time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so gross.
I know.
I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really like what she said here either.
Right.
She says things about how the portrayal of the women, they're working in the kitchen and stuff, it should be, looked upon as empowering because, they're taking care of things, and they're more like this goddess-like figure. They're powerful, and these are big virile women and stuff, and we should respect them. And she compares it to her Italian grandmothers. She compares her Italian grandmothers to these mammy figures, which I found strange. They never left the kitchen, and it was amazing,
It's such a false equivalency.
It's horrible. And like, I kind of get where she's trying to come from. And then she goes on and says about how like the image of like a black boy eating a watermelon, like all happy, isn't bad. Like, he's happy. You know, we're eating watermelon. It's good. Guess you're right. Like, the act in and of itself isn't wrong, but it has historical racist context glued to it.
I mean, yes, a young African-American boy eating a watermelon, that is not in and of itself a bad thing. What's bad about it is when it's used to denigrate an entire race of people, which it was.
And you can't just say we're not going to think about that anymore. It's going to take centuries for that image to go away, hopefully.
Yes, right.
And it may never, unfortunately.
Because even like 8-year-olds today know what that means.
Yes.
And that stereotype it still exists.
Yeah, it sucks. And I'm really glad you explained to me who this woman is,
Oh,
because
okay, yeah.
I had very big issues with what she was saying. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming you feel similarly.
I do. Yeah, but because of what she said, and I'm glad that Cheryl included her in this.
Yeah.
Because it's good to see that not only do people have these tendencies and that they are very wrong about their thoughts on race relations, but it's in academia. Because Camille Paglia was a professor at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia until last year.
She could be teaching young, moldable minds this stuff.
Yes. And she did for 50 years.
Oh, God.
And that's the weird thing, too, is that, like, she said some other stuff that is dead right. Not in the interview, but in her other writings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I remember Corinna Longworth talking about her, again, Corinna Longworth, but, like...
She's the best.
She is the best. She said that, like, when Camille is right, she's very right. But when she's wrong, she is really wrong. And it's hard to extract all the good stuff that she does, because when she is at her worst, man, I mean, it is horrible.
That sucks, man. All right, so let's focus on the good stuff in this movie, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like, it is when Cheryl is interviewing Camille here, she reveals that she found information about Faye and Martha, like, having a relationship, and she's like, oh, well, if that's true, like, you found something truly astounding. That's amazing. I really enjoy the journey of seeing Cheryl make progress on her project in this film.
I know.
And I just love how it's portrayed as the documentary almost.
Yeah, because it's like you're watching a documentary about someone make a documentary.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. So now we see another double date with Stacy and Tamara, but this time Cheryl's date is Diana.
Right.
It's not Yvette,
Yes.
the horrible singer.
It's someone she likes.
It's someone she actually likes and respects. Someone who has mental health going on. Is what Tamara says.
Yeah.
Because I think they make fun of Yvette because she's like, she has mental health problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Yvette is a mess, obviously.
Yes. And then because Diana is very, well-read, she's intelligent,
Yeah.
Tamara says, yes, she's got that mental health going on.
Got that mental health going on.
Which Cheryl likes. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yes, I enjoy mental health as well.
It's one of my hobbies. But yeah, and then we find out more about Diana. Apparently she was born in Jamaica, and she's traveled all over the world since she was a kid. It's strange that she's a Jamaican, I guess.
No, you're right. Because
it's strange.
Because it becomes a point of controversy.
It does,
Like-
because she's the one white woman in the group with
Yes.
the other three black women. And we talked last week with Funeral Parade of Roses about like,
Right.
people wearing masks. Like, they mentioned something along that line. Like, Cheryl, you act like a different person. Like, when you're with Diana, you act like you're trying to be white. And when Diana's with you, she's trying to be black. It's really strange.
Right.
And so just the fact that she was born in Jamaica makes it feel even stranger. And she doesn't really fit in with them either. Like, she's the rich, privileged person who has no job, really. She's just doing whatever she feels like. And these are people who are trying to work and trying to get their film off the ground, and they're trying to do something. Like, they're not very similar people.
Oh, of course not. I mean, like, she has no clue what it's like to be Cheryl. And, I mean, Tamara is right to be suspicious of her, not only because it's someone who is interested in her friend, but also because she thinks that, like, based on what she's told Cheryl and Stacy and her at this dinner, Diana might be fetishizing black women.
I think the question is, what's the intent? Because I think they might mention it here somewhere in the film, but you're doing it to prove that you're not a racist or something like that. It's for the wrong reasons. And I get it. You could be attracted to a different race. You could be attracted to whatever, and that's fine. But, like, how true is it with Diana, though?
The only way you know their intent is if you spend some time with them. And maybe over time you're like, oh, okay, well, this person is very sincere. But yeah, if it's more like what Tamara suspects Diana of, then it becomes a problem.
Right, yeah. And also they suspect her of, like, forcing herself into Cheryl's film project also. Because she mentions here she found, like, some lead. There's some a woman I found out. We can talk to her and interview her.
It's Martha Page's sister.
Yeah. Which is a big deal. Martha Page was the director of Plantation Memories, and it's her younger sister.
Yep.
That's a big get.
It is.
Huge get. And they have no clue how she was able to pull this off. Diana is just this weird mystery.
And because she's a rich white lady who has connections, apparently. And, how did she find this? Because when we actually meet Martha's sister, she's a society lady.
She's got a house help,
Boy, that was a
Yeah, in a movie about a documentary about mammy characters, there is someone in the documentary with a mammy character working for them.
And this lady doesn't think there's anything wrong with it?
Nope.
And, it's a real problem.
And so, there's a funny scene where we see, I think Cheryl and Tamara and Annie are all filming some nightclub together, but Annie and Tamara are not filming the performance. They're just filming the audience.
Yeah, they're looking at hot chicks.
Yeah, they're just like, oh man, look at all these hotties, and they're filming them. And then so Cheryl gets mad at Tamara for doing that, and she's like, hey, chill out. Hey, I'm still doing our job, But then Tamara gets mad at Annie for doing the same thing and is really cruel to her.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, Tamara's dislike of Annie is really unfair.
It totally is. And so we cut to a scene like afterwards. Tamara and Cheryl are hanging out, and Cheryl's like, dude, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? They're, like, sitting out there, like, smoking a joint and drinking a 40, which is great. And, like, Tamara tries to hand the drink over to Cheryl after they've argued, and she's like, no, I don't want it. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's kind of childish.
It is very much. It's something you do in that moment. No, fuck you.
Yeah, I love it, though. But because they're, like, best friends, they sit there and, that's just how it is. It's fine.
Exactly.
But, yeah, she is not happy with the way Tamara's treating Annie, and how Tamara is saying things about Diana, and, like, so it's a big argument here, kind of a falling out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the next scene is at a place, it takes place at this location called the Center for Lesbian Information and Technology, CLIT. Which is fucking brilliant, dude. I love it so much. I guess Annie had gotten some information about this place.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Tamara was also mad. I don't remember, but so Cheryl's up there and she's talking to this woman up there who, like, runs this volunteer organization. Yes. And she's just, like, kind of like scatterbrained and, like, not very helpful or organized, and keeps talking about, hey, we're all volunteer, and, we're going to get a big, organization system and everything, but, it's all volunteer, so it's just all in boxes.
Yes, this is Sarah Schulman, this woman playing the CLIT archivist. she's a writer and prominent activist with ACT UP in real life, and she's playing this Flibberty Gibbet character.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I like how she is so particular about, not touching the stuff and not filming the stuff, because like she told Cheryl, yeah, you can look through all the boxes and you can look at the pictures. Cheryl at one point holds up one of the pictures to Annie's camera so that she can get a picture of it, and then you see Sarah Schulman come up, oh no, you can't do that. And so Cheryl's like, okay, sorry about that. And then she just does it again, just like defiantly, starts like going through more pictures, and that's when Sarah Schulman's had enough. No, you get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. I was wondering, if they're not allowed to film in there, why are they filming in there?
Well, that's the other part. I know, like, because they're walking around with a camera crew, essentially, but you just can't take pictures of individual pictures.
I guess not.
That's a weird rule, Sarah.
It's their, I guess it's their property, and they don't want other copies of it to get out for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I mean, and that makes sense, because if you worked hard to amass an archive and you did it, the right way, you wouldn't want someone coming in with their cell phone just taking pictures of all your shit.
I get it, but yeah. They're working on a documentary film.
I mean, yes.
Maybe Cheryl was being covert and breaking the rules. Yes. I'm sure she could have gotten some images for the film project if she went through the proper channels.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. I think, you know what? I think she mentioned that they only meet like once a quarter to vote on things or something like that.
Right.
So Cheryl would have to wait that long. And I think that's why she did that.
That's right, because there would be not only a bureaucracy, but she has to wait. Like she doesn't have time to wait for 3 months for them to meet again.
The committee meets every other quarter or some bullshit like that. Like,
right,
it's a horrible cadence.
Yes,
but yeah, so yeah, they're kicked out. They did get the footage of these pictures, and it's a great treasure trove of information.
Yeah,
they found photos of Faye Richards. They found like old maps of Philadelphia that had like the locations of gay bars in the 20s and 30s and stuff. Like, it was a really cool box of information.
Right, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and so now we get to go to the interview with Martha's younger sister, Mrs. Paige Fletcher, I think is what her name is.
Yeah,
and so it's video footage, and we get a lot of voiceover. There's a lot of voiceover work from Cheryl in this because she's making the documentary, and documentaries often have a voiceover. Like, a lot of times they do. And so like she's doing the voiceover in the documentary about her process of making the documentary. And so she's saying like, yeah, we got here and it did not go well.
Yes. I love how she establishes that before the scene even starts.
Yeah.
Hey, you're about to see some shit go down.
And so like she's asking about her sister, like what was she like and all this stuff. And it turns out that Mrs. Paige Fletcher does not like these accusations they're making about her sister's sexuality and her habits, because she was not like that at all. No way.
She just won't even acknowledge that Martha could possibly have been gay.
Not possible. I don't know if she is just in denial or she knows the truth and is trying to cover it up or something for posterity's sake. Because she's, upper crust woman here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, she's a real shitbag because she says a lot of horrible things, too, about how, when she was horrible with all those colored that she hired and stuff.
Right.
Like, come on, lady.
Right. You're talking to an African-American person. Like, if you... I mean, even if you are an asshole racist, like, surely you've learned your lesson in public that you can't just say that.
No, probably not.
At least pretend that you're not.
I'm sure the person she hired to work for has heard this language plenty.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you really get a sense of like, okay, so you're a total racist, but you're so bad that you don't even feel the need to pretend.
No.
Because why should you?
You're above that. You're beyond that.
Of course.
Like, you're protected from that. Because of your position.
And a key part of this scene is watching how Diana reacts to all this.
Yeah.
She doesn't take Cheryl's side.
Yeah. She tries to calm Cheryl down and kind of defends the woman.
And she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Fletcher Page."
Yeah. Oh, God. Shut up.
Yeah, Diana. Oh.
Yeah. I get it. You don't want a situation to escalate, right?
Right.
But you don't want to you don't want to do what Diana did.
No,
at all.
Because it looks like she's kissing the ring, and it could be on behalf of her fancy society parents.
Probably. And she doesn't want to burn that bridge, and her checkbook gets cut out.
That's right.
You know, her lavish lifestyle of like, I'm just gonna quit college and I'm just gonna go back to the city and live in this Josh Baskin loft forever, and just date all the women I want. And yeah, it might end. Yeah, not good.
Right.
And so we get a scene of them in bed. Like Diana and Cheryl are in bed after this, and they're talking about stuff. Apparently, Diana's also had like a bunch of black boyfriends and stuff. So I guess she swings both ways whatever she's feeling,
Right.
But I guess she said her parents are cool about it. Like this, once again, it's like almost giving her the right to only date black women. Like she's earned it almost.
Because why are you saying all this?
It's ridiculous.
And this is just like making such an issue of it.
It's like in Get Out when the father like boasts about, I voted for Obama.
I would have voted for Obama 3 times.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, you're not overtly being racist, right? But by just saying that, it makes you sound like you're trying not to be racist. It's weird.
I think of it also like American Fiction. The white characters in that movie don't know that they're assholes.
Yeah.
They think they're allies, and when you're a well-meaning white liberal who doesn't know how privileged and what a jackass you sound like,
yeah,
it's not as bad as being a racist, but it's still pretty goddamn bad.
If people only knew how hard it was to be a privileged white liberal, Dave.
Lord, yes. We struggle every day,
I
don't
know,
we?
man. It sucks. But yeah, the scene in bed just shines an even bigger light on this problem that's here.
It does. And it also defies convention in some way, because when we cut from like the scene with Mrs. Fletcher Page to them in bed together, they look like they're having a real nice time.
Yeah.
And they were just they didn't fight at all in that other scene, but like you thought that like for sure Cheryl was going to be mad, but she wasn't mad. She kind of forgave Diana for all this. So they end up getting annoyed at each other, but it comes later. It's like, 3 minutes into the scene instead of just right then and there.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't know what Cheryl or Diana really said to each other. I must have missed it or didn't hear it clearly or something, but Cheryl says something and Diana kind of gets upset about it, and then Cheryl gets more upset about it. Yes,
because Cheryl is tired of hearing Diana talk about her experience with like black people.
Ah, okay.
And so she, instead of saying, those words, she just gets up and says, I got to go work on the project. And Diana says like, well, that project is becoming a crutch. Like you always have to leave because of this. Cheryl denies that, of course, because you would.
Mm-hmm.
But there's things unsaid here.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Cheryl's like, no, I got to go. And Diana's like, fine, just go.
Right.
They're fighting and very upset with each other, but they're not saying anything to each other, which is the worst kind of thing.
It is. They're not raising their voices and they're not saying what's on their mind.
No. And then, really, that is it for this relationship, we find out later. Like, this is the last time we see Guinevere Turner. And then it cuts from this to another scene that's kind of tonally a little different. It's of Cheryl's driving her car, and it breaks down.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it starts playing, like some independent, like, hardcore
hip-hop
rap almost in this. But it's, like, what they could afford.
Yeah, it's probably some local artist she knew.
Yes, yeah. So it's not like great stuff, but it's still good, right?
Yeah.
But like you didn't hear music like this at all in the movie, really.
No.
And then it comes in and like Cheryl's even dressed differently.
She's not wearing her normal clothes. She's got like a big shirt on, and she's got a hat and everything. Yeah, she looks different than she normally does.
And so like she's like her car breaks down, then she like is in front of a building like. It looks like she was trying to break in because 2 police officers walk by,
right,
and stop this gentleman who's going to break in.
Yes, they mistake her for a young man, and they don't like the look of her, and they start hassling her.
They like push her against the wall. And I think do they cuff her at all? I can't remember.
It just fades before it can get rough.
Okay, but but anyway, it's totally different from the rest of the movie.
Right.
But I think it's supposed to be representative of like the breakup we just saw happen.
Yeah, and it's also representative of, like, I'm sure Cheryl was treated this way all through her life in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else who looks like her. And, this is a real sad reality.
And I know that a lot of the movie is autobiographical.
Sure.
So, like, yeah, this could have happened to her probably more than once,
Of course,
unfortunately. Yeah. And so,
Because even when she tells him, like, hey, that's my camera, I'm just here I'm shooting a film.
Yeah.
They don't believe her. They don't want to hear anything she says. And they just start, they're going to take her downtown. It sucks.
Yeah. And so we go to a scene now where Cheryl has called this woman to get an interview, and it turns out it's Faye's former lover or life partner, essentially, named June.
Right.
So she shows up at the house to talk to her, but she's not there. But the neighbor is there, and the neighbor tells Cheryl, hey, she had to go to the hospital, something happened, but she wanted me to give you this stuff that she left for you. It's like a big package with a bunch of documents and stuff like that, and a letter that she wrote to her.
Right.
And so the neighbor gives it to her, and we get is it a voiceover of the letter?
Yes.
But it's a letter from June basically saying to Cheryl, I was so mad at you when you mentioned Martha Page. That was the director of the film, everybody. You should not include her in this movie about Faye's life. It would be so troubling to Faye if she heard about that. Apparently Faye passed away. And I don't know how many years it had been, but she's been gone.
Right.
And June loved her, and they were together for a very long time. And to put this in the movie about her would just tarnish her memory.
Yes, because June doesn't like that both Cheryl is pursuing this and that other people think that Faye and Martha were a couple, because Faye and June were a couple.
Yeah.
And they were together for a long time, and they loved each other. And June wants Cheryl to tell the real story of Faye's life.
Yeah.
And that would be, that she was with a woman for many years, and it had nothing to do with Hollywood stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was never with Martha.
Right.
Is that
right.
That's what comes out
That
here.
is what June is telling Cheryl.
Yeah. So that's a big twist, because we thought the whole time, oh, there was this secret love going on.
Right.
No, apparently not.
Yes, and it could be that Martha did like Faye, maybe even wanted to pursue that, because it's implied in those photos and that archival footage that Martha was gay.
Yeah, and their photos, there's none of them like kissing or anything really.
Right. They're sitting next to each other quite a bit, arms around each other.
Could just be like we heard earlier, they were friends.
Yeah.
Right? That could be like they were friends, just hanging out, having a good time.
They went to the clubs and stuff.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and it's Cheryl Clark is the voiceover to play June Walker, and the archival footage that they staged for this too, with like Lisa Marie Bronson as Faye, and then also the June Walker actress Cheryl Clark. I mean, it's really cool, like footage of that looks like a really professionally made documentary about this old couple.
Yeah,
really good stuff.
It looks authentic. It's great, and so yeah, it's kind of a good. It wraps up the mystery.
Yeah,
really, and it gives Cheryl new perspective on all this stuff. She had no idea, that this is what was going on.
And Cheryl does the exact right thing a documentarian is supposed to do. She tells the real story.
Yeah, yeah. And I think in the letter, there's also something about Faye and other women like her paved the way for you so that you can live the life you have.
Yeah.
Like they made it so you can have a better life. So we need to honor her in the proper way.
Right.
Yeah. And she does, like you just said. So,
yes.
And this is pretty much the end of the movie. We get another talking head where Cheryl's kind of explaining all this stuff here, and she does mention that her and Diana broke up, And what she says, like, Diana and I are no longer Diana and I,
Right.
which I thought was a great line. And, you know, the romance in the movie, really, like, it feels a little insubstantial in ways. But I think that's by design. Like, it's not fleshed out a ton. We don't spend too much time with it. Like, we just kind of get their initial attraction, meet cute type stuff, which is good. A little bit of the dating, and then, like, their brief breakup. And it really fits with, like, the movie's, like, breezy, irreverent tone that it has going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and, like, it is romantic and sexy, but, like, Diana's there really to propel a lot of the ideas of the film, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the plot, but then also, like, the racial stuff and everything else that comes up in the film.
And it's a good parallel, too, for what Cheryl thought was her story, which was Faye and Martha.
Yeah, it really is.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really important to the film, even though it's not as traditional as, like, a normal movie romance is, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
And that's another cool thing about independent cinema is that you don't have to follow those that framework.
Yeah. And so she says, like, hey, this is the documentary. This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Right.
And then the camera goes black, and then we cut to the actual documentary footage she was working on.
Interspersed with the credits of the film we're watching.
Yes. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we see clips of the documentary. We don't watch, like, a full documentary, you know, right? Like, or like a 5-minute section or anything like that. It shows, like, a short clip of the documentary with the voiceover from Cheryl saying stuff about Faye Richards, and then it cuts to someone's name of the credits, and then another, like, 20 seconds of that. And it does that for a couple minutes, and then it ends with, like, the end of like, Faye's movie career when she moves back to Philly, and then it jumps through time. And Cheryl says, like, we don't really know what happened there, but we do know now, like, I think it's 1957 is the year she stopped singing. She's older, and she met June Walker, and June is a special woman who took care of her until she died.
Yes.
So the real important thing is that she found someone she loved and were able to be together for a very long time. And that's just beautiful stuff.
Right. Like I said, too, I just like that Cheryl's documentary ended that way. It's not about Faye having a career in Hollywood or becoming a singer and being, you know, desirable to women when she was on stage.
Right.
The most important thing in her life was that she found love.
Yeah.
Whether it was late in life or whatever. And even if it wasn't a long time, she had a fulfilling life because she met somebody great.
Yeah, and a lot of great documentaries do that. They end up going in a place you don't expect.
Yes.
Like, so that's just awesome. But yeah, that's how the movie ends. Do you have anything else, Dave?
You know, you mentioned the man on the street interviews. One of the cool ones is Christopher Mann. He played Tony Gray in The Wire. He's the first guy in the suit, like the banker-looking guy. And also Cheryl Clark, the woman who plays June Walker, she was a writer and an activist, as was David Rakoff, who plays the librarian. And then Tashi Regan is the street musician that Cheryl encounters, you know, like late in the movie. She's a singer and activist as well. It's a lot of people who would be, you know, in this scene. You know?
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, was there's a technique at some point in the movie when Cheryl is, like, trying to track down one of the sources. It shows Cheryl on the phone, and they lay in the audio and they cut away to hide that her on-screen dialogue doesn't match the audio. Okay. Like, it's just like a focus on her eyes with the phone receiver, you know, up against her head. And then they cut over to her playing with the cord, and you hear Cheryl's voice. I've seen it used in other movies before, and you only notice it when you're watching it as a critic, of course.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was, on the Celluloid Closet DVD, there's several commentary tracks on that one. And in one of them, Howard Roseman is one of the executive producers on the movie. And one of the difficulties in making a movie about Hollywood history is you have to, like, you know, get clips, and that can be expensive. Mm-hmm. And I think they said this was 1995 prices. It was like, 10 grand for every 30 seconds or something. And when you're making a movie like that that's got that much stuff in it,
Yeah.
That's going to be expensive. And Howard Roseman was working as a producer in Hollywood at that time, and he had developed some like influence. And so to help the project, he just got on the phone and just started calling up studio moguls saying, can I have these clips for free, explaining what the project was.
Yeah.
And all but one said yes, you can have them. Only the Goldwyn said no.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
Come on, Goldwyn.
Exactly. But
I would think the mayors would say no.
I think exactly. But it occurred to me that like, if Cheryl Dunye had a Howard Roseman, she wouldn't have had to make up, the Faye Richards character.
Yeah, that's true.
And it sucks that she didn't have that. But what came out of it was her having to like, okay, well, I'll make something that like represents that stuff and it captures the spirit of what I was trying to get at, which is also cool.
Yeah. And that the very end of the movie is a title card that says sometimes you have to create your own history. The Watermelon Woman is fiction.
Yes.
Yeah. And if she would have had access to all that footage, we'd have a completely different movie, I think.
That's true. Exactly. And it might not have ended up, as a culturally significant, as a landmark that it did.
Right. Yeah. It would feel, the documentary stuff would feel almost too real, I would think.
Yes.
Like it feels like real documentary, but it makes it feel like, is this real documentary or is it part of the narrative?
I know. Sometimes you can't tell.
Like, but if you had real footage of like Hattie McDaniels and stuff, like,
yeah,
okay, so that is real footage. Like, yeah, I think it's better for it.
Yeah, because if you were cutting to a documentary that Cheryl was making that had real Hollywood footage, then that would be a different movie.
That would
entirely.
ruin the independent feel.
It would.
Honestly.
Right.
It wouldn't feel right.
Yeah,
He's so out of place.
I mean, I'd like to see both versions because, it would be interesting to see what it would be like the other way. But still, yeah, this is better.
Yeah, it is. So would you recommend the movie?
Yes. Yeah, everybody, seek out The Watermelon Woman, everybody.
Yes. And it's free on Canopy.
Yep.
Get the library card. Check it out.
You have no excuse.
No excuse. All right, so that wraps things up. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the show anywhere you get your podcast. Rate it, review it, most of all, share it. It gets more dudes listening to the dudes. And you can go to dudesonmovies.com and find anything you need right there.
Yep, and we're on Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Instagram. Look for Dudes on Movies. And our email address is dudesonmovies@gmail.com.
That's right, and Dave, we have a question of the week. What is the question of the week?
Who is your favorite independent filmmaker?
That's a good one. Hit us up and let us know. And stay tuned next week when Pride rolls on with 1999's Boys Don't Cry, directed by Kimberly Pierce and starring Hilary Swank and Chloe Sevigny. So until next week, I'm your dude Scott.
I'm your dude Dave.
And we'll see you next time.